Okay, we're just waiting for a quorum. Jamie's not joining us today. Excuse me. Okay, let's see what we've got. Okay.
What the hell?
Hello. Can you
Hi.
hear?
I'm sorry, who is that? I thought I heard Farouk.
This is Farouk, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes,
No.
Deb and Mark are, this is Beverly, of course, and Deb and Mark are also on the line, and David Austin. So we're just...
Millie.
And Kirk.
Millie.
Oh, and Kirk, I'm sorry, and Millie, yeah.
Hi.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm on the phone today.
Okay. I've done that before, Farouk. It works just as well.
I'm banking on it.
Yeah, there may be some background stuff.
Sorry, can anybody hear me? This is Chris.
I'm sorry, who is it?
This is Chris.
Oh, hi, Chris. Yes. So Chris is on. Chris is here. Mark, Farouk, Kurt. I'm sorry, Deb, and David. And did I miss anybody? Millie, and Jamie's not joining us, so we can wait another second or so for Greg and Kathy and Gail, but
Yeah, I apologize if I cut out every once in a while. My computer I normally run these meetings on, which is my personal computer, died, so now I'm using my work computer, which is not the greatest. But everything's recording, and we have Victoria upgraded our software, so we're automatically recording a transcript of the meeting and video, so we should be good.
yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I talked to Marty this morning, so I'll talk a little bit about that. Wow. We have such a short timeline for the reg meeting. We don't need a quorum to hold the subcommittee meeting, but we do have one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're looking at section 8.0. I added, excuse me, the last set of corrections from the last meeting. So 801, I just had the one question there under section 2, and whether or not we should define person.
So person is in the definitions of.
Yep.
But I think in this case, isn't the person limited to LSP? And not a organization or other entity?
Right. So, in paragraph 2, is it the consensus to change that LSP instead of person, and then no need to define?
And I think that holds throughout this section, because I think this just applies to the LSP.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I don't think we've ever assessed a civil penalty against anyone else. Okay. So, in 801 subpart 2, I'll change, pardon me, which that LSP instead of person, and there's no need to define it. And moving to section 802, I had suggested some language, and my note says return to the original language. So I went back to the language of the reg. And I don't know if you're satisfied with the language of 02 or you want to rearrange it. But at the last session on this, I went back to the original language. Nope, no comments. So 802 should remain as it is. Excuse me. Okay, 803. Any changes to 803?
Just changing throughout person to LSP. It appears pretty much in every clause.
Paragraph, okay. So 803 change person to LSP in every subpart, and then on 8034, section C and D, I didn't know how you wanted that language to read. And whether the red changes that I've suggested are fine, or you want to revert back to the original language, or you have a different idea.
Well, I think the wording "how promptly" is somewhat problematic, because what does that mean?
Yeah. So the original language in C was how quickly.
I don't understand the context really of what was the intention prior, but I do know that there's timelines in the MCP, the 2-hour, 72-hour, 120 days. So I would need to really look at the entire body to make, to offer any accuracy in my commenting.
Well, the language speaks for itself, so we need to decide whether or not this language should stand, what's in the reg, and I'll just read that very quickly, and then we can decide, because Deb has a good point about my suggestion of promptly, but how quickly Okay. I don't know if it's a distinction without a difference, but in paragraph C, the original language is what the person did and how quickly the person acted. And the only word that I substituted was how promptly. And should this be defined? So
I would argue that it should be how timely, and it's based on, for example, a failure to notify is a 2-hour notification, or 72-hour, or 120 predicated on the nature of the violation.
I think these are not related to notification. It's related to other violations by the LSP, right?
yes,
Well, it does say after the NON has been issued, so it's after
Yes.
the NON has been issued.
Right, so,
Um,
yep. So the failure to notify would just be one example. It could be that they perform IRA actions without prior approval. It could be that the submittal missed the compliance deadline. It could be a whole host of things throughout the MCP. Invalid REO.
So maybe it's not possible to define what promptly is because it's going to depend on the
Just-
situation.
well,
Maybe.
it is on a case-by-case basis. And like I said, the original language was how quickly the person acted. So it's just a matter of whether or not you want me to put quickly back in or how promptly the person acted, because you can't really define it. You know, it's examined on a case-by-case basis. So do you want to leave promptly, or do you want me to revert the language back to quickly?
They kind of say the same thing.
They do.
I think promptly is more professional, even though it doesn't really, it's not more specific.
It is.
I like
It
promptly
is.
better than quickly.
I know, that's why I changed. Go ahead, Deb.
No, I'm done.
Okay. All right. So, 803, subpart 4C, will read what the person did and how promptly, and I do take into account that person is changed to LSP throughout. So it'll read what the LSP did and how promptly the LSP acted. And then I changed the language to comply instead of into compliance. Because it was awkward. It was just awkward. Any discussion about that?
Seems fine.
Okay, to comply. All right, so that stands. Subpart 4D, whatever harm occurred, you can see I struck might have been done as a result of the violation. It was that language was just awkward. I'll put it back if you like, and take other suggestions. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. And, under 804.1, yes, pattern of noncompliance. I wondered, should pattern of noncompliance be capitalized? I know we've capitalized throughout notice of noncompliance. But the pattern is a noun. but is it a proper noun, pattern of noncompliance, or is it just language?
I think it's just language.
Just
Yeah,
language.
because it's not defined, right? We usually capitalize
Yeah.
defined terms.
Yep, we do. Okay, so pattern of noncompliance stays as is, and I added the word the. Nope, that was already there in the original, so that stays.
This is hello?
Yes, yes.
This is Millie. I just wanted to at least acknowledge that I'm assuming that the terminology that's being used here is the same that is used in the guidelines for calculating the civil administrative penalties. Is this sort of mirroring 310 CMR 5? You've got the 12 factors, and for example, the preconditions, one of them is the pattern of non-compliance.
Okay, I'm sorry, Millie, what's your question?
Yes, my question is whether 8.04 pattern of non-compliance, is that meant to be also, is that meant to mirror how it's already defined in the in 310 CMR 5? That's just my question. As a precondition.
I don't know.
The reason
I don't know.
So the reason for assessing a penalty, so an LSP gets an NON, and they will go into the web page and to our website and kind of identify, try to figure how the adjudicatory hearing is going to be held. And this is information that's available in the public domain as the reasons for how and why DEP or the board in this case would assess a penalty.
I don't think that it's related because it says that a penalty may be assessed without prior issuance of an NON. It's a little, I don't think that they both tie together.
Well, if this regulation was meant to cross-reference another regulation, it would be stated there.
Okay, thank you.
So the adjudicatory proceedings and how they're handled is set out in 309 7.0. Is that what you're asking, Millie, that the cross-reference to 310 is a procedural guideline for the administrative procedure?
Correct. Well, for calculating civil penalties.
No, I don't think they're related.
Okay.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that? No, I don't think so. And again, if it was to be handled that way, the regs have to state it. It has to. They have to cross-reference. The only other change that I'm jumping now to 807. If we're, yes, 807, and I struck monetary amount because it is an amount. I mean, there's also in the point heading, determining the money amount.
So meaning the penalty or money amount of civil administrative.
But aren't all civil administrative penalties for an amount of money? So I just thought monetary, excuse me, we use money amount, we use monetary amount, and it should all be uniform. So we can do whatever you like, but I think it should be consistent. Okay, so determining the amount of the civil administrative penalty. And 810 was the next set of changes I highlighted. And I see there again, Deb's suggestion again of LSP being changed, person being changed to LSP throughout. But I highlighted section 810 subparts 3 and 4 to see whether or not we could simplify that language at all, or whether or not it could be a little less awkward.
They seem okay to me.
Okay. So all I'm changing is the LSP from person. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I'm fine with those sections as written.
Okay. I'll change person to LSP throughout. The next section was 811.
You might want to leave person, because I know that our statutes only apply to LSP, but once in a while we get a person that's acting as an LSP. And
Yeah.
that's a violation.
Well, that's the other person provision, and it begs the question as to whether we would chase after another person.
Right, but so you want to just leave person or substitute all that with LSP?
Well, I think in this section, it's LSP, but we're not going to change it throughout all the regs, because there is the definition of person that would apply to non-LSPs that we don't want to change. So
Right.
I think it's just in section 8.
Yeah, I'm just looking for it. Okay, so what's the final word on person or LSP for section 8? I mean, person, as Deb has said, if you look at the preamble, section 2.01, person means any agency or political subdivision of the federal government or state, any state, public or private corporation or authority, agent of such person, any officer, excuse me, so person is defined. The only issue is whether or not 8.0 applies to persons and LSPs, or only LSPs, or only persons.
It seemed to be only LSPs. These regs don't apply if you're not an LSP.
Right, because it talks in the previous sections about how quickly someone acted. You know, there's not necessarily a duty to act on the part of an agency or some of the other entities that are described in the definition of person in 2.01. So
I guess the presumption might be that when a violation is identified, say by DEP, you calculate your penalties. Basically, you discuss the case, you come up with the strategy, you identify the buckets, you calculate it. If there is an LSP referral that then goes to the board, I guess this is really only focusing on enforcement against LSP, because presumably the civil part is going to be handled either by the DEP or the AGO.
You're talking about the difference between the PRP and the LSP.
Exactly. So if
Yeah.
these, again, if these regs are meant to be for the purposes, this particular section of calculating penalties, what the assessed penalty is going to be, then it makes sense what Deb is describing, which is it should be LSP throughout.
Okay, so it stays LSP. Okay. The next section
We have,
I had,
we have non-board members on the panel, so we need to end. Unless this is a public discussion, I forget.
oh, the regulations are public discussion, so.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
But we only have 2 minutes. So,
Sure.
we can, suspend and pick up 8.11, November 10th. But I just want clarity on the person LSP part of it before we adjourn the regulations committee meeting. Person should be changed to LSP throughout. Is everyone in agreement about that?
I mean,
If the intention is to address the process for assessing, calculating and assessing a penalty against only LSP, then that stands.
I'm sorry, Millie, you were cut off. I didn't hear the last part.
I would argue a wholesale change to LSP would make sense, so long as this section again is devoted only to handling the identification and management of penalties that have, of violations that give rise to a penalty. To the LSP only.
Okay. All right. So we are adjourning at 12:30 to. And we are going into the board meeting agenda directly from our regulations committee meeting. So. Millie, you're going to call the meeting to order?
Yes, is everyone
The
ready?
board?
Okay,
I think so. I
All
think
right.
so.
great. Good afternoon, welcome to the Board of Registration Hazardous Waste Site Cleanup Professionals virtual meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order at 12:31 p.m. This is a reminder that please note that this meeting is being recorded. At this time, I'd like to invite board members as well as the board's executive director to share any announcements worthy of sharing with each other and members of the public.
Can I just ask who's on the line, please? I know Millie, Kurt, David, Deb, excuse me, Farouk, Mark, did I miss anyone?
Kathy's here.
Hi, Kathy. Okay.
Great, so that will also constitute our roll call when we make motions and vote on these motions.
Right, let me,
Thank
I don't know what happened to Greg, so I'm just gonna pop off for one quick second to check and see if he emailed saying he couldn't get in or something. Hold on.
Thank you.
No, I don't see anything, so we are ready to continue.
And Beverly, I think we also have Gail.
Okay. Gail, you're on the line, or she's trying to connect?
She shows on the roster.
Okay, maybe she's just trying to unmute. Let me.
Oh, hold on. Yes, I'm trying to unmute. It just muted itself again.
Okay, well, you're on now, Gail, so.
Okay, and sorry, Victoria only sends the announcement to my other email, so that's why I spent all that time looking for it. Sorry. I finally found it.
Okay.
Okay, great.
All right. Great.
Okay. All right, so just to recap again, so the announcements, if any, I'm just inviting the board members as well as the board's executive director to share any announcements that are worthy of identifying and sharing again with each other or members of the public that are attending today's meeting as well. Okay. So at this time, I would also like to invite any other members of the public, if they want to use the chat function and contact us with regards to any announcements that they wish to share with the board. And I'll have Chris, if he could kindly just let us know if you see any comments on the chat feature.
No comments.
Okay, all right. So hearing none, then we will move our meeting to the agenda, and particularly looking at any additions, deletions, or any changes to the draft agenda, and thereby its adoption. So following today's meeting agenda, at this time, I call for any additions, deletions, or changes that you may deem appropriate and necessary at this time. Okay, so no changes to the agenda. We will then adopt it, and just without any kind of corrections, just adopt what we have in front of us. So at this time, I'd like to move the meeting to item number 4, which basically speaks to the LSP request for further review and petition for waiver of 309 CMR 2.12. So in September 2020, Mr. James DeCoulis requested to speak directly to the LSP board regarding his July 29, 2020 petition for waiver pursuant to 309 CMR 2.12. And accordingly, the board notified Mr. DeCoulis on October 9th that his request to appear and speak directly to the board for up to 15 minutes was granted. So at this time, I ask for Mr. James DeCoulis to address the LSP board.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. My name is James DeCoulis. I am here to ask the board to reconsider its decision to deny my request for a license extension. On July 22nd, 2020, I attended or listened in on the board's hearing and followed specific procedures that were discussed by the executive director and Farouk about what an LSP should do if he or she seeks an extension. Those requirements included at a bare minimum to include a renewal application fee. It also included making a request as to why a petition was necessary. and also the application form itself. On July 29th, I filed that petition for waiver to the board, and the board received it on the 30th by Federal Express. The board also, or rather the Commonwealth also deposited my check on the 29th. Ms. Roby responded to me by an email recognizing that she received the package and asked that I submit continuing education course material, which I provided within 15 minutes. At the board hearing in August, which I was unable to attend because I was with my family on a vacation, I heard that was the board hearing on August 11th, by the way. I heard a discussion that particularly from Ms. Roby, that she never received my application, and that my license had lapsed because the license had automatically lapsed because there was nothing received by the 30th. After not having any response from the board and finding out that my license request was denied, I filed a letter request to the Secretary, Kathleen Theoharides, and set forth the reasons why the license extension, given the COVID crisis, is necessary or was allowable. And in that letter request to the Secretary, I provided copies of the governor's orders, starting with order number 9 on March 18th, which is referred to as order number 9 and was attached as Exhibit A to my request. I also attached 2 additional orders, the order number 18 from March 26th, and lastly, the order number 41 from June 26th. The governor's last order, number 41, specifically stated that the 2 prior orders were to be rescinded, and that all licenses would, at a minimum, professional licenses in the Commonwealth would, at a minimum, be continued until October 1st. Given that the board has automatically extended or acted to extend the licenses that expired on April 30th to October 1st, I thought it reasonable and fair for those licenses that expired on July 30th to be extended to January 1st. That would be a consistent 90-day extension under the crisis and consistent with the governor's orders. So that's the reason for my request this afternoon, is to ask the board to reconsider, to be fair and equitable with how you're extending licenses during this pandemic, and be consistent with the governor's orders. I'd be glad to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeCoulis. I appreciate your time spent here with the board. And like you, I'd like to also extend an opportunity for the board members. I was not at the August meeting for personal reasons, but I would like to hear if you have anyone from the board has any clarifying questions. And
Madam Chairwoman, if I may, I'd just like to ask if the board members received my August 17th letter to the Secretary.
that I do
Yes.
have, Mr.
Yes, Mr. DeCoulis. This is Beverly Roby. It was sent to them. Your letter to the Secretary was sent to the board.
Great, thank
So
you.
they have that. You're welcome.
We have. And I think our goal today was to hear directly from you, and I would respectfully request that you allow for this board to, I took copious notes with regards to what you stated, and provide me and the board members, along with our executive director, to at least have an opportunity to reconvene and look at the merits of what you're requesting.
And how long are you suggesting that happen today? Or would that be at another time?
It would be at another time, Mr. DeCoulis. But again, I think I personally would like to better understand all your submittals. And again, our job is to ensure that there's transparency and equity and fairness across the board, a level playing field, and a number of requirements, ensuring that you have all the credits that are necessary and ensuring that the information is provided to the Commonwealth, the board specifically, in a timely manner. It's imperative. So I think, at least for me, I'd like to be able to satisfy all those requirements.
Well, I just want to add that it's grossly unfair for the board to have received this package, which Federal Express acknowledged the board received at 9:48 in the morning on July 30th, for the Commonwealth to deposit my check for $100 the same day, and then for Ms. Roby to say my license has lapsed because he didn't get anything to us by the 30th. The Department of Environmental Protection, Mass DEP, is automatically taking my name off of eligible and active LSPs. And every day that goes by is causing harm to me personally. So I just want, to make sure that the board acts promptly on this, because this just has not been fair.
I appreciate what you've stated. So we will commit ourselves to coming together in short order to basically look at all the facts and get back to you by way of email. If that's something that is acceptable.
Could you give me a time frame, please?
So typically how we handle this, we would try to do a doodle poll, make sure that we can get together in short order. And again, we will certainly get back together very soon to cross-check our schedules and basically inform you of a timeline.
Could you tell me, would it be within a week, a month? Can you give me any time?
Board members? Let's shoot for 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. Okay, great. All right. There's nothing more I can say or do.
Oh,
I appreciate you coming forward, and again, we will basically ensure that the administrative matters are in order and try to get to the bottom of any kind of discrepancy that may be in the process. But again, the board has been working really hard to ensure that any and all LSPs coming forward, again, have the same level of care and attention, and everything is looked at with the same yardstick. So we will get back to you very shortly.
Great. I appreciate the fair application of your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeCoulis. So at this time, I would like to make a motion to end this portion of the LSP board meeting in order to call to order the virtual Continuing Education Committee meeting, followed by calling to order the virtual Professional Conduct meeting.
motion to end this section.
Those in favor, second. Okay, so those in favor of approving this motion, please say aye when I call your name during the roll call. Aye. Kirk?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Farouk?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Kathy? Kathy, if you can unmute yourself. We'll skip to Gail.
Aye. There she is.
Great. Motion carries. So we'll end the portion of this portion of the board meeting and then call the other continuing education committees. And then it will be followed by the professional conduct meeting. And then we will, I'll make a motion later to reconvene the licensed site professional board meeting. Thank you.
Hello,
So,
everyone.
Farouk, are you gonna run the virtual continuing education committee?
Who's
meeting?
running it?
I'm here and I'm beginning the continuing ed committee meeting at 12:48.
Just a minute, David, if you don't mind. Need a second. Okay, all set.
Likewise, Beverly, we ended the first portion of the LSP board meeting at 12:48 for David to open up the continuing education committee meeting.
Yep, got it.
So I hope everyone's well. I don't think there's an agenda change. We haven't gotten any last minute course approval requests. There's a note here about the virtual draft minutes, April through September of 2020. Bradley, do you want to speak to that?
David,
Yep,
we're going to pick that up as part of the LSP board meeting, I thought, part 2. Unless you want to.
Well, it's for every meeting because there are a set of minutes for every meeting. So I can address that. The minutes for the January meeting, I'm going to start at the beginning. For the January meeting, are all posted except one set, and that will be up shortly at next month's meeting, the November meeting. The board meeting minutes from February will be available for your review. And I've been working with the commissioner on transcription of the virtual board meeting minutes from April through September through now. And hold on, I'm fishing for my commissioner notes on this, sorry. So the commissioner has engaged someone to transcribe the minutes that we are that have already taken place. They've hired an agency to produce a transcript that then will be edited, that will then come to the board. Now, something new for today is that there is something that Chris mentioned, the through artificial intelligence, there's going to be an automatic transcript produced. It'll be a voice transcription, and then I'm going to get some assistance in terms of editing, and they'll be available for the board to review. So there will be written minutes. It's just going to take us a minute to get everything transcribed and then to the board for further editing. So that's the minute.
Okay. Thanks for the update.
Yeah,
there's no.
That's going to help a lot. The transcription and the artificial intelligence using that. Hopefully it starts at this meeting. Chris, do you know whether or not it starts for this meeting? Marty said it might.
Yes, Victoria updated our software and turned it
Yep.
on automatically, so I'm crossing my fingers. It says it's being
Okay.
recorded, and so
Okay, we'll see. All right, we'll see.
I wonder
But
what it
it's
does
going
with swear words.
to, well, we'll have to see. But it is going to, there's going to be the reason they've assigned someone to work on editing is because there might be THERE instead of THEIR, the scientific terms that we discussed, that kind of thing. Because it's a voice activated mechanism that's going to transcribe it. So fingers crossed everything will work. Even if not, we still have the recording itself. And we can fine tune it for next month, the artificial intelligence part of it. But we always have the transcript. So we'll always, and we have a transcription service. So we'll always be able to produce written minutes.
Okay,
That sounds
thank you.
great. Thank you so much, Beverly and the commissioner, for their efforts, and Victoria to bring us up to speed on this item.
So there's no old business, new business, there's one course approval request. Mass DEP, LSPA, an audits course, one Mass DEP regulatory credit, November live webinar, and then on-demand online course. I make a motion to approve it.
Second,
Any comments from the board or the public? So through the roll call, a yes is approving it. Millie,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes,
Deb,
yes,
Gail,
Yes.
David is a yes, Farouk,
Yes,
and Kathy.
thumbs up.
No Kathy?
There you go.
Okay, so
you said yes.
that course is approved. And then there was 2 resubmitted course approval requests from Midwest Geosciences Group. On the agenda, the second one, the ethic webinars, is not what they resubmitted on. They resubmitted on the hydrogeology of glacial deposits, and then also taking the mystery out of the subsurface webinars, which was about the unified soil classification system and creating soil borings and stuff like that. We had asked them for clarification on how they were going to verify attendance and have an assessment of learning and make sure they were going to provide a course evaluation. I couldn't find the original requests from June, but I think we didn't have an issue with the content and the hours. It was just those 3 things. And it seems to me that they've answered those questions and fulfilled those requirements.
Yeah, and just one quick comment about number 2, David. Those were the only 3 things. The board, I have my draft minutes, and the board didn't have a problem with the content. They wanted those 3 questions answered. Is what my notes indicate.
So they haven't been approved, and there's no course number, I assume.
No.
Okay.
So I would assign a course number if you feel that the 3 criteria that you set have been met, and vote, of course.
So David, I do have a question. For us today, what we have in front of us is taking the mystery out of the subsurface webinars and then hydrogeo. Is that what we have?
Yes.
And I do. Okay, so we are not going to take any kind of vote or discussion on agenda item number 3.
No, that's just a typo.
Okay.
I'm making a motion to approve the hydrogeology of glacial deposits webinar for 9 hours. 9 credits.
Second.
Any
Okay,
discussion?
so, yes, I have a question because they've asked for parts 1 and 5 to be 1.5 technical credits each. And parts 2, 3, and 4, 2 technical credits each. So, yeah, so I'm just asking how the attendance cert form should read.
They should have separate numbers, I think, Dave, because they are separate courses, and they will be graded and marked, and CEU and the credits will be given separately.
I can do
I agree.
A, B, yeah, that was
No, they're all
Gail, yes?
different.
They all have different
Yes,
numbers.
they're all different.
Yeah, they're all
So they
different.
need all different numbers.
Okay, very good.
But we can approve it as one, and the 5 parts will get their own course number.
Got it. Yes, that's correct.
Well, I don't think we should approve it for 9 credits. I think we should approve each
No.
individually for the credits that were requested for each.
Yeah, I think you have
They're
to
not
approve
asking
each.
for a block.
I agree with Gail that each one needs its own number. So I'm happy to do 1703, 1704, 1705. But in terms of what each subpart is worth.
Can the motion be for all 5 parts? So we do it one time.
Yes,
I don't think.
but you have to say part 1 and part 5 for 1.5 technical
Right,
credits.
that's what I'm
part
saying.
to say.
I'm not going to go through
Yeah.
5 roll calls for 5 different courses.
Right.
Okay,
right.
so I make a motion to approve this course, hydrogeology of glacial deposits, part 1 for 1.5 hours, part 2 for 2 hours, part 3 for 2 hours, part 4 for 2 hours, and part 5 for 1.5 hours. As 5 different courses.
Second. Yep, second.
Okay.
Okay.
And you want all different course numbers for each.
For the 5
Is that
parts.
right? Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
All right, got it.
Any further discussion from the board or public?
So I just want a clarification that there's going to be a test at the end of each part. So it could be, presumably you could actually earn 5 out of 9 credits. Is that a potential scenario, David?
5, you mean?
No, there's no option for 5 credits. There's an option for 4.5 credits or 5.5 credits. It's just because of it's either, but
okay.
Your point, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So go through the roll call, approving it as proposed. Millie, is it?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
David is a yes. Farouk?
Yes.
And did Kathy return?
She's using sign language to vote. She's saying yes.
Oh, I didn't have, okay, sorry. That's a yes. So the other course they have, I make a motion to approve taking the mystery out of subsurface webinars. Part 1, 2 hours, part 2, 2 hours, part 3, 2 hours, each with their own course number.
Okay, I'm sorry, David, give me that again, part 1.
Part 1, they're all 2 hours. So part 1 would be 2 hours, its own course number. Same with part 2. And then part 3, once again, would have its own course number and be for 2 hours.
Wait,
All right.
what do you do? I'm confused. Where are you?
I'm on the second submittal that Midwest Geosciences sent into us, dated July 22nd.
Oh, that one. Okay. All right. Yes, sorry.
It's not the agenda for the meeting.
Yeah.
Not that
Yep,
one.
got it. I know which one you mean.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a second?
I'll second. It just, a picky note, just, we're approving for 2 technical credits rather than 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
have that. I have that.
Okay. Any discussion from the public or the board? Okay, go through the roll call. A yes is approving it as proposed. Millie,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes?
Gail,
Yes.
David is a yes. Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Okay. And there's nothing else to discuss. The next meeting will be November 10th.
Actually, just got one question from the audience. Can you tell me how long it will take to create the Midwest CEU forms such that they can be distributed? From Samuel Butcher.
Yes. You can tell Mr. Butcher that he'll have it no later than early next week. Well, not he will have it, but I'll have it to Dan Kelleher. So he can start bugging Dan Kelleher next week.
Okay.
But it'll go out. There are only a few, so I'll make sure that they go out. I know Mr. Butcher's looking for those credits, so.
Thank you. I forgot if there's questions or comments from the publics before I wrap up the meeting.
Nope, that's it.
Thanks, Chris. So I'm ending the meeting at 1:05.
Second.
So Jamie is not here, and so I'm gonna go through the professional conduct meeting agenda. These are the active cases, and they had been stayed. I am hoping to start work on them for the month of November. And the same applies with respect to the virtual meeting minutes.
Beverly, excuse me. Was there an 18C01 and 18C02?
You know what? You're right. There is an 18C01 and an 18C02. Thank you.
And I just wanted to clarify, I had the same question because I know there's one that I had from prior to 2000.
Right, and I'll have full, I've had to stay the work on professional conduct cases, but there are a few that we can move along. In particular, the new case, 20C04, and the one that Kathy and Gail and I are working on. There is 18C01 that I'll have to talk to the other 2 team members about convening on that, because what we need to do is, I believe, set up an interview for that LSP. So we'll see what we can do in December, other than, and I was going to report on this later, but other than the exam in December, I'm hoping, and annual fees, of course, and renewals, I'm hoping to catch up on some of the programming and see whether or not they'll allow me to go back into the office. They've really limited us about going in, and I need to go in to be able to work on these cases. So I'll have further and better, more detailed reports in November.
Quick question, Beverly. Have you been notified about they're gonna close the building down in a few weeks?
Pardon me? No.
Yeah.
What building?
Our building.
Who's that coming from? You?
Me? No, it's coming from Paul Locke.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just asking if you had insider trader information. So Paul is on the line. And no, I have no idea that they're closing the building.
Well, yeah, we had a meeting. Well, we have our BWC virtual meetings, and apparently they're redoing the bathrooms and they're doing a bunch of stuff. So I would find out for sure, because I don't know the date. I sent in a request to go in on Friday because I need to do a bunch of stuff and bring a bunch of stuff home.
Like tomorrow? Tomorrow, Friday? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and I was talking to Matt, my boss, and he said, no, I don't think it's immediate, but eventually they are going to restrict access to the building for everybody because they have to do all these renovations. So I would find out. Talk to Victoria. Victoria will know.
Well, actually, I'll talk to Brian Parise because he's the one who's in charge of formulating the list. Now, I was last in the office maybe 2 weeks or so ago.
Okay. And I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak out of term. I just wanted you to know that is going around.
No, it's helpful. It's helpful because Marty hadn't mentioned that the building was closed, but I hadn't asked to go in a couple of weeks. Now, I have to say that they have made some of those some of those changes already. I know that the bathrooms have been redone. They're all touchless. And some of the other things on the third floor, they've made some of those changes. But then Marty has said that they do have to reconfigure the spaces, and so I'll make sure I check before I try and go in. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you. Didn't know.
Okay, so anything else with regards to the virtual professional conduct meeting? Agenda items?
No, the next meeting is November 10th.
Motion to end professional conduct meeting.
Second?
Roll call adjourn. Millie?
And so we're adjourning at 1:11, that particular meeting.
I was going to take the roll call. Millie?
Yes.
Hold on. Wes said, are any of the 20C complaints from the Mass DEP?
Any of the 20C complaints from Mass DEP? No. 20C03 and 20C04 are both citizen complaints, and 20C01 and 20C02 are complaints that arose through the board. So none of the 2020 cases are from Mass DEP.
Thank you.
So Millie, I, Farouk,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Gail,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
thank you. Deb,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
have I forgotten anyone? Okay, meeting is adjourned at 1:13.
Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to resume the LSP board meeting in order to proceed with the remainder of our board affairs per the approved agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so those in favor of approving this motion, please say aye when I call your name. Millie, yes. Kirk?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Farouk?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And Gail?
Yes.
Thank you. So I hereby call the meeting to order at 1:14 p.m. So I believe we've already covered to developing the virtual meeting minutes, both for pre-COVID and post-COVID through September, and now with a new addition based on the AI. I'd like to thank both, well, everyone involved, including the Commissioner, Beverly, Victoria, for their creativity in moving this along. So let's enter into discussion with regards to the decisions for the licensing of applicants. And today the board will be acting on 5 LSP license renewal dockets, which are up for discussion and voting. So Beverly had sent us the attachment by way of an attachment. The list of the renewal dockets, there's 1 through 5. And the first one consists of 10 LSPs who have completed their LSP license renewal requirements as required. Thereby, their license will have a renewal date of October 30, 2023. So at this time, I open the floor for questions and or discussions of this docket.
Make a motion to approve docket 1.
Do I hear a second? Great. So those in favor of approving this motion, please say aye when I call your name during the roll call. Millie? Yes. Kirk?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Farouk?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And Gail?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries to approve the renewal docket number 1 as it's been recorded. The second one, again, consists of 9 LSPs who have completed their LSP license renewal requirements as required. Thereby, their license will have a renewal date of July 30, 2023. By way of the same approach, I make a motion to approve this renewal docket. But before we do that, I'm asking for anyone to raise any issues, objections, discussion at this time.
Make a motion to approve docket number 2.
Second.
Great. So those in favor, please say aye when I call your name during the roll call. Millie? Yes. Kirk?
Aye.
David?
Yes.
Deb?
Aye.
Farouk,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and Gail.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve renewal docket number 2. Number 3, again, consists of 6 LSPs that have already completed all their LSP license renewal requirements as required, and thereby their license will have a renewal date of April 30, 2023. Any discussions, comments, questions with regards to this particular docket?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Right, so please, for those that are in agreement, just when I call your name, please say aye. Millie? Aye. Kirk?
Aye.
David?
Yes.
Deb?
Aye.
Farouk?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And Gail?
Yes.
Motion carries. We approve this renewal docket as recorded. Docket number 4 is just one LSP that has completed all LSP license renewal requirements, and thereby will have a renewal date of October 30, 2023. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, a motion to approve this renewal docket number 4.
Second.
Those in favor of approving this motion, please say aye when I call your name. Millie? Aye. Kirk?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Farouk?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And Gail?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve renewal docket number 4 as recorded. Same with renewal docket number 5, consisting of one LSP who has completed all the LSP license renewal requirements as required, and thereby will have a renewal date of October 30, 2023. I open the floor for questions or discussions, this particular docket. Seeing none, pardon?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second? Great.
Second.
So those in favor of approving this motion, please say aye when I call your name. Millie? Yes. Kirk?
Aye.
David?
Yes.
Deb?
Aye.
Farouk?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And Gail?
Yes.
Thank you. Right, at this time, we're going to move forward with the next item, which is the application review panel ARP 309, Daruis Shalbika, which is being reviewed by Jamie Smith, Farouk Sadiq, and Kathy Campbell. At this time, I'd like to turn the agenda item to our executive director and/or board members Smith, Sadiq, and Campbell for further discussion of this ARP 309.
The application review panel met on October 2nd, 2020 for Mr. Darius Shlabika. And they decided that Mr. Shlabika, pardon me, did not meet the requirements to sit for the exam. They felt that you guys can chime in that it wasn't until he only had a year and 4 months and relevant professional experience because he was not actually the primary decision maker, and the ARP indicated each member that they carefully examined the references, and in particular, Mr. Sadiq indicated that it wasn't until 2018 that Mr. Shlabika started started acting as a principal decision maker. And that followed the reviews of, two other references reviews of this candidate. So in the end, they decided, the panel, that Mr. Schlebika did not have the required relevant professional experience. He did, however, possess, total professional experience, and to the best of their knowledge, he was of good moral character, but they could not recommend that he be permitted to sit for the exam. At least one panel member thought that Mr. Schlebika should reapply at some point. And that was it, other than Mr. Schlebika has been notified orally, because I like to call people and let them know before they get the letter. So I'm drafting a letter that the ARP will review, and then I'll send it out. And we'll have that done by the November 10th meeting.
Okay. So any discussions with regards to the recommendation and assessment that our executive director has shared with us? And Beverly, at this point, if recommendations are made, are you looking for us to move to accept the recommendations? Is that the process?
Yeah.
We are supposed to, the board is supposed to accept the recommendations of the
ARP's
panel.
recommendation.
Right. So that was my question. So, well, clearly we trust the due diligence and good work of both the executive director and all the board members. So I move to accept this recommendation as presented to the board.
Second.
So let's go ahead and affirm by way of a roll call, please. Millie, yes. Kirk?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Farouk? Mark?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And Gail?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. And Mr. Chalika did not, with the fact, basically carries with our assessment that at this time he did not meet the necessary requirements to allow him to sit in an LSP board, excuse me, an LSP exam. But also we recognize that that he may choose to apply at some point. Okay, so we're going to move forward with schedule application review panel ARP 310. And this is one that I will be turning over to our executive director and or board members, Deb, Farouk, Mark, David, and Kirk, given that they have been involved with regards to the discussion of both ARP number 310 and ARP number 311.
Okay, so I will email the ARP panel members for dates to review the files. And we'll get that done before the November meeting in case there are people in this on these panels who want to sit for the December exam. So I'll be emailing you.
Thanks, Beverly.
Okay, great. Now, turning over to assignment application review panel number 312. This is specific to Lauren M. McKinley. And at this time, I turn this agenda item to our Executive Director regarding the assignment of this ARP number 312.
Okay, so may I have some volunteers to review Ms. McKinley's application?
Yeah, I can do one. I can do it.
Thanks.
This is
Thank
Gail.
you. Kathy, was that you?
Yep.
Thank you. And one more person.
Yep, I can go through.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll get that application out to you this week. Actually, tomorrow. Yep. So you can start reviewing it.
Okay, great, thank you. And just to clarify,
we may want to try and schedule this before the November board meeting in case Ms. McKinley's application is approved so that she can sit for the December exam. So I'm going to get the file out to you right away so we can schedule a date that works for everyone.
That's great. Thank you.
thank you.
Yep.
You beat me to the punch there. Thank you. We'll move on now to other licensing matters. And at this time, I'd like to turn the agenda over to our Executive Director, who will provide us with an update regarding other licensing related matters.
The only change is that, pardon me, Maria Pinode has gone on inactive status. I need to fill in the exact date in October that she went on inactive status, but in October. Otherwise, the numbers are steady at 466.
Great, thank you. Okay, so then let's talk a little bit about scheduling of the exam committee meeting.
Yeah.
The committee met today.
No.
No, sorry. So you are working towards getting scheduling an exam.
Yep, I am. It'll have to happen now after the December 9th exam date, and I'll explain why when I give the exam report. But it's going to have to happen. The next exam committee meeting will have to be after December 9th. We'll see if we can get it in before the holiday. But I'm just going to jump right into the exam report so you'll understand why that's taking all the air, it's sucking all the air, oxygen out of the room. As I indicated last month, sorry, fishing for notes, have been working with the commissioner on the exam. We set a date of December 9th. However, there are all these protocols that we have to comply with, of course. The exam is going to take place in Worcester because that's the biggest conference room. So by next week, the commissioner and I will have a full plan for the exam. We have to make sure that the machines are set up 6 feet apart. And I don't have final numbers yet, of course, on how many people are going to be sitting for the exam. But there's going to be a building protocol and a worker safety message. So for the test takers, the protocol has to do with ventilation, mask wearing, sanitizers, and someone with health experience to take temperatures. So we're going to be doing temperature-related screening and COVID-related screening to ensure that no one with symptoms comes into the, actually comes into the room, because the other thing is we can't open the windows in that room. We can open the doors, of course, but that's still, we're doing it in the Worcester office simply because that is the newest building that has what we consider to be the newest HVAC system, ventilation system. But we're still working with the governor's office and EEA to get out to get all the protocols set, and then we have to notify everyone who's taking the exam. So more on that next month.
Do we know, at least as of today, how many potential candidates have signed up or have the green light to proceed with taking a test in the near future?
I gave that report last month. There are approximately 6 applicants who are, I'm going to see if I can dig that out. There are approximately 6 applicants who qualified to sit for the exam, not counting the applications that are being reviewed under panels 311 and 312.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, not on the exam, no.
Okay. All right, so then I will ask for David to give us a summary of today's Continuing Education Committee report.
Yeah, so we met today. We got an update on the in-person meetings and virtual meeting minutes, and how they're going to be done and when we're going to get them. Under new business, we approved 1 new course, Mass DEP LSPA course for 1 DEP credit. We approved a number of courses from 1 other provider based upon reapplication materials that they sent in. And the next meeting is in November.
Great, thank you, David.
Need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
We approved it all in the education committee.
No, but you
Nope.
still, the board has to approve it as a whole. You have to approve I move that we approve the recommendations of the Continuing Education Committee.
Second.
Second. So Lily, yes. Kirk?
Yep.
David?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Farouk?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And Gail?
Yes.
Motion carries. The recommendations are hereby adopted. So with regards to the Professional Conduct Committee report, if Beverly could just give us a summary, and then we'll have a motion to approve all the recommendations.
No,
There were no
we don't need it
recommendations.
for professional conduct because professional conduct is a committee of the whole and and that stands alone in our, whatever we approve. And,
You don't need
and we
a
didn't have
motion,
any,
or you don't need a motion, or you don't need a report back?
we don't know, we don't need a motion. We need a report back for the board's minutes. Oh, no, if we're all present, we don't need it.
Nope. I'm sorry, I'm still, nope, there's, we were all present and, that was it. There's no action to be taken by the board.
Motion not to motion.
Right.
I second that.
Okay. So let's move on to other business. And at this time, I'd like to have our executive director provide us with a discussion regarding the work of the regulations committee that took place today at 12 o'clock, as well as an update on personnel, budget, and fees.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm still fishing for the exact number of examinees. I'll find that. Regulations Committee went through 8.08, I'm sorry, 8.00 today. We came within a page or so of finishing getting up to section 8.11, and we'll start there in November. Really, we should be able to knock out section 8.0 in the regular half-hour meeting before the board meeting begins. Personnel, budget, and fees are the Governor Baker resubmitted his budget. It was approved. The board's going to be level funded for the upcoming fiscal year, which means that the 2 vacancies are still funded, and we'll be able to go forward with those. With respect to the hiring, I have been reviewing resumes. I have 4 candidates for general counsel that I'm scheduling interviews for, hopefully soon. But we're just repeating the process, so I'm not beginning at the beginning. I don't have to go back and draft questions and do some of the things that I've already done. So I'm hoping that we can just set up some dates within the next 2 weeks and at least finalize the general counsel position candidates. And then contemporaneously, I'm going to select interviewees for the investigator position and move that forward. But the general counsel is the most pressing matter. So, like I said, I've got a list of 4 candidates that we're looking at and hoping to bring in for interviews. And I'll have more information on those interviews and whether or not they took place or what happened at the November board meeting.
So as it pertains to personnel, I wanted to ask the board, I drafted the letter that you requested. I draft at the last month meeting addressed to Commissioner Suberg, and my intention was to circulate it by the end of this week. And again, the purpose was compelling the commissioner to allow, where basically facilitate or promote having a temporary relocation using the temporary relocation incentive program having someone to lend a hand. So my question is whether you still want me to move forward with said letter, or based on the good progress that Beverly is and good results and report back today with regards to her moving forward with those interviews, whether you wish for me to put a stop on this letter addressed to the commissioner.
I think the letter should go. You know, we should use all the venues available to us.
Okay. Any other comments?
Do we know if any applications have come in?
I'm sorry, application?
Or resumes or?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yes, everything's in. I'm reviewing them and setting up interviews. Starting with the general counsel position. So yes, it's closed. So we have what we have.
Okay, so to circle back, I'm just looking direction on your request from last month. And I think David Austin, you were the one that really was compelling from asking me and compelling me to put together this letter. So I'm just trying to be responsive to the board's request.
Oh, I thought it was Greg who asked.
I thought we all asked. I thought it's important to keep it going, keep it moving along.
I don't see a reason to put it on the back burner, and we should finish it.
Okay, great. So you will be getting it shortly.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we've covered the entire business as per the agenda that we adopted and are working off today. The future virtual meeting next one will be held on November 10th, 2020. And again, I'd like to thank our executive director and the LSP board members for your commitment and the board's mission and function in trying to move things along. I take notice of the hard work and dedication. And with that, I make a motion to adjourn this board meeting.
Second.
So those in favor of adjourning this board meeting, please say aye when I call your name during the roll call. Millie? Yes. Kirk?
Aye.
David?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Farouk?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yeah.
And Gail?
Yes.
Motion carries. We adjourn this LSP board meeting, and it's hereby adjourned at 1:45 p.m.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. See
Thank you.
next month.
Bye-bye.
Stay
Bye-bye.
well.
Thanks, Millie. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.